There's someone else in the room with us.
We got a special guest. This is our first. You're the first guest of the Friday show, by the way.
Wow, I'm honored.
Yep.
Still perplexed, but I'm honored.
So, Miss Alicia Edwards, she's held several roles in our community over the past several years. Currently, the director of the public library.
I am, yes.
And we're going to be talking about some of those things that are going on at the library, and very, very cool stuff. What, you've been at this job for about a month, something like that?
3 months.
3 months. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm a couple months behind.
Yes.
But lots of cool stuff going on at the library. We'll talk about that here in a moment. The Friday show is brought to you by Alford's Pharmacy and Drive-Thru, located in the Main Street Center. Call 270-597-1044. Find them on Facebook or visit alfordsrx.com. So, Jamie, which today is August the 4th, by the way. July has come and gone.
Yes.
So when August rolls around, I'm always a little bit bummed out when August comes around because it's the start of school.
Yes.
And even though I've been out of school for a billion years,
forever imprinted on you, there's no way to shake it.
It's just sad because all the kids that are probably still in the bed right now or playing video games or whatever they're doing.
Yep.
All that's going to be shut down and back up at 6 a.m. and all that stuff. But is what it is. So did you get anything unique this week or
nothing real big to speak of. Same old. Did a little work at the board office, did a little bus training, that kind of thing, and such is life.
Right. Alicia?
Well, I'm still trying to learn the ropes
I
at
understand.
the library, but I love it so much, and we've got a lot of really fun programs in the works for the next couple of months.
Have you done any burnouts in the bookmobile yet?
No, I have not yet.
Is that on the itinerary?
Will it do a burnout?
I really don't know if it will, but
I'll tell
I
you
am
what.
certain I will not be trying that.
Inquiring minds want to know.
If you ever decide you want somebody to do a burnout in the bookmobile, I don't want to do it, but I'll come down there and take a picture of it.
Okay.
And we'll
Think it'll be good publicity?
Oh,
for
perfect.
the bookmobile? Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, all the social medias.
Yeah. So we'll talk about some of the stuff going on in the library. First, we want to talk about some local headlines. We've had some interesting stuff in the news here in Edmonson County this week. I was on hand for one of these. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is on the news page of EdmontonVoice.com. Man drives into the Nolan River.
You don't see that every day.
You don't. So I'm sitting here at my desk working on some stuff, and the emergency radio goes off. And the call comes in as, hey, we need everybody down at the tailwaters at Nolan Lake. A car has entered the river. Okay, well, that's obviously a big deal. All right. So
Now, the first thing you're probably thinking is it's vaulted off the top of the bridge,
well,
right?
who knows? At this, you really don't know. But yes, the first thing I'm thinking, it has come down the dam
Yeah.
into the spillway. Okay.
Horrendous crash.
Yes. And for all I know, somebody's in there trapped. Now, normally, if there's an individual trapped, they will say, the dispatch will say, we have a report of someone trapped, or
They call it the rescue squad then, or
well, we don't
anything
have a
like that?
rescue squad here anymore,
Okay.
but pretty much all of our first responders are trained in, they have water training.
They have Jaws of
and-
Life, that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
they've got all
Okay.
that stuff. Yeah. So I get down there, and I don't know how long it's been since you guys have seen where the water comes out and the actual water level of the Nolan River.
Now, water levels are lower.
It looks
now, right?
terrible.
Yeah.
It's depressing. This car is sitting in less than a foot of water. Okay.
I saw the pictures.
So it's way on down from the boat ramp. So immediately I'm thinking this guy has driven down the boat ramp and,
In an attempt to launch.
well, who knows? And so there's some law enforcement guys down there, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Was this some sort of medical episode? Did somebody, because like a lot of older people, they'll be in areas like this, and, they'll hit the gas instead of the brake, or, people will drive down to a boat ramp to take a look.
Now, one important question here. This wasn't an amphicar, correct?
No. This was about a 91 Toyota Camry.
Okay, well, this is if it was an
Which
Alpha
was
car
still
now.
running, by the way.
Well, shout out to Toyota.
Yes. So, anyway, so I asked one of the law enforcement guys down there, I said, so did this guy have a medical episode or something? And he said, well, I guess you could say that. Let's just say he wasn't feeling anything. I was like, oh, okay. Well, where is this guy? Because there's nobody in the car. He was in the ambulance. He was uninjured, by the way. And so I was talking to, I'm sorry not to laugh, but this is ridiculous.
He was
okay?
a test pilot.
The park ranger first got down there to see what was going on. Okay, so first of all, let me back up. The guy did not drive down the boat ramp into the river. Of course, you know it's kind of S-curvy down there before you get to the ramp. It looks like he missed some of the road and went airborne off the bank, flat into the river.
Now that included traversing rocks,
Yes,
right?
Yes. In fact, there were big chunks out of the rock where the bottom of his car hit rocks.
But no chunks of the Toyota, as far as anybody knows.
Correct. Hey, man, Toyota knows how to make a car.
That's solid right there.
So the park ranger I'm talking to, he says he comes down there, you know, because he doesn't know if somebody's hurt or if somebody's trapped or whatever. He's talking to me, and he's wet from his waist down because he's jumped in the water. Where the car entered the water was a little bit deeper, obviously. But he said the guy still was acting like he was driving the car. Didn't have no clue as to where he was. You know, they was asking him his name, and he was like 14. He was like, yeah, do you know what today is? Blue.
Okay.
So, anyway, he was under the influence of some sort of substance, and he was arrested after he was cleared from the hospital. But, man, drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Don't do drugs,
That
kids.
almost sounds like a scene from Super Troopers or something there.
Well, it's hard to believe. I mean, it's hard to believe because I sat there and tried to, try to look down the path of where this car could have gone, how it got from point A to point B. Man, it's messed up. The man is very, very fortunate that he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So, again, that was something you don't see every day. And so they actually, some of the emergency responders started the car and was driving it up the river. And it eventually,
It just choked it out.
Yeah, it
'cause
choked it out.
You had no way to get
right, couldn't
the
get
exhaust
air,
on,
right. So anyway, the tow truck came and they waited.
I was really hoping they had driven it out.
They drove it for a little bit.
That would have been great.
It sounded like a boat. Because
Like a James Bond flick, where he rolls down the window and throws out a fish and goes on about his business.
Well, yeah, they waited out, hooked up a cable, winch cable, and they winched it out of the river.
And there was a picture on there of the tow truck doing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've seen some weird stuff, man, but and I have seen tow trucks get cars out of water before. One of the craziest things I ever saw was a car went down the hill on Shady Hollow Golf Course. And there's people that live out there.
I remember reading about that, yeah.
And a car came all the way down the hill. A lady had parked it and didn't put it in gear. She just didn't put it in gear for whatever
Did it in
reason.
park?
Yeah, she didn't put it in park, is what I should say. And it rolled down the hill all the way into the pond at hole number 7. And the only thing that you could see were the taillights. And
What time of day did that happen?
middle of the day.
So there could have been a foursome there
Absolutely.
on 7.
Absolutely.
Somebody playing through.
And I actually saw the tow truck driver had to dive into the water with the cable. He took his clothes off, hooked up, and they pulled this car out of the pond there on hole number 7. Crazy.
Did they consider renaming the course over there Bushwood?
They may have. I don't know. So
That's
anyway,
straight from Caddyshack there. So, I mean, that would have fit right in.
It was perfect.
Everything they were doing.
Now the other story that got some attention this week.
Glad no one was hurt in any of that.
I'm
but
sure, of course. Neither instance what I'm talking about. The other thing is, so there was a traffic stop and an arrest made, a drug possession charge. Obviously, addiction's a serious, there's nothing to joke about addiction. But I've never done drugs. I don't do drugs now.
Right.
I do not advocate for drug use. Kids, say no to drugs.
Yes.
Okay? But if I were going to have drugs on me, and I'm going to drive a car, I'm going to try to draw as little attention to myself as possible.
Unless you've already been consuming some of those drugs, and then it really probably doesn't matter a whole lot to you
I'm sure, yeah.
as to how clandestine you are with your.
But if I'm just going to get in my
Actions.
car and I'm going to drive down the road here, okay, I'm not going to break the speed limit. I'm going to try not to drive a car that's got stuff hanging off of it. I'm certainly not going to tie a window unit air conditioner on top of my car with fishing line.
How many pound test do you use for that?
I don't know. So that's what, there was a sheriff's deputy in the vicinity, and they see this car with this air conditioner unit, and he said what got his attention was the air conditioner unit was wobbling back and forth. It looked like it was about to fall off into the road. So
If the K9 unit had been there, he'd have said, huh?
Alicia, have you ever tried to tie an air conditioner to the top of a vehicle?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, if you're going to do it, use some high quality ratchet straps
Yes.
so it doesn't move on you.
Yes.
Because apparently that, red flags. And so the police officer, the sheriff's deputy, starts, following. They realize that they have an expired license plate, and they could see that the occupants of the vehicle were not wearing their seatbelts. So initiate a traffic stop. And there's a driver and a passenger, and this car has bucket seats, but there's a lady sitting in between them where the gear shift is.
On the console.
So, also drawing red flags, So,
Got a lot going on here.
yeah, there's a way overstimulation here in this situation. So, and again, there was some illegal drugs found in the car, and so everybody got arrested because nobody took ownership of the illicit drug, and I don't know whose that is. That's not mine. I've never seen this before. And
Well, that never happens,
you
does
mean
it?
this? So again, not making fun of addiction. Addiction's a serious problem, but man,
Well, the situation that some of that stuff can put you in is just
Right.
I mean, it's just it's sad to a point, and then it's laughable. Some of the things are, but if nobody gets hurt, everybody can kind of grin about it later. But it's just the things that you end up doing
it's nuts.
if you're intoxicated in some
Right.
fashion.
It'd just be a lot easier if you
Yes.
didn't fool with it,
Yes,
But I mean, I know, like
a lot
I said,
easier on everybody.
of course. But now, again, personally, I've never dealt with addiction. I've seen it in family members. I've from a distance, I've experienced it, not personally, thankfully,
Right.
not in my home,
Me
but
too. Yep.
it's a serious deal, man. But wacky stuff. All three of them got arrested, and I don't know.
Maybe
I
they
hope,
can get some help now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope they get their life turned around, and hope they got that air conditioner from point A to point B.
Yes.
So
Somebody needed that.
somebody
obviously.
needed it. It's been very hot. So, hey, why don't we change gears real quick? Alicia,
Yes.
let's talk about some stuff going on at the library.
Okay. Well, soon, actually August 12th, we're having our Young Entrepreneur Fair.
So we put that in the Voice a few days ago. That seems really exciting.
It really is. I mean, just to promote our youth, they're our future of Edmonson County. So why not give them the confidence to, achieve wwhatever they want to in life?
So what all happens at a youth entrepreneurial fair?
Well, it's basically like any vendor fair you would go to, like a little Glendale Days type
Mhm.
thing. But it's just youth, so it's just them highlighting what they are, their creative, juices, trying to promote whatever their love is. And so we've got some really, really unique and cool things that are going to be there. So we just want our community to come out and rally around all of our sweet youth. I think we have 15 vendors that have signed up, so we would love that.
So that's August the 12th.
Yes,
What are the hours?
9 to 1.
You can go to EdmondsonVoice.com, look on the community page, and you can see how to sign up for that. You can also go to ecplibrary.com.
Correct,
and
yes.
You can sign up for that. I know there was a group of kids, and some of the kids go to church with me, and I can't remember the name of their little business, but it's a lemonade stand,
Yes.
and they donate
So sweet.
They
yes.
donate all their profits, man. They were down at the square. This was a few weeks ago, and they gave all their stuff to, I think, Cram the Cruiser or one of those local causes. You know, these beautiful little girls out here selling this lemonade.
So sweet. I think they do it for Feeding America. Basically anything that
Yeah,
in our
right.
county that's in need. Yes.
And
It's
so
amazing.
when you see kids that are, first of all, that's got the I don't know, just got enough sense first to want to do it, and then secondly,
Gumption.
yeah, and then secondly, they're going to donate.
Exactly.
You know, now again, what you're talking about here at the library, it's not necessarily nonprofits stuff, but my point was there's a lot of really talented, smart kids
It's true.
that's got that have a tremendous amount of ability and
a good, strong work ethic,
yeah.
which is nice. So
yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next item of business today. Odd headlines from around the nation. And I was just sharing with both of these, Jamie and Alicia both, before we went on the air, some of this weird stuff. And weird stuff. The first one, I don't know, I probably should save this till last because I don't think I can top it. Man, you talk about messed up. And if I can find it here. Okay, so this, and I'm going to try to just, I'm going to hold my phone up and maybe you can see this guy. This is from the New York Post. And the headline says, "Real life demon gets craziest body modification yet. Snake implants." Snake implants. Now, first of all,
Well, if real life demon hadn't gotten your attention to start with, then snake implants will.
definitely. So first of all, if somebody comes up to you, Jamie, says, "Excuse me, sir, I'd like to talk to you about some things that I'm selling. I have a product and service that I'd like to sell you. Would you be interested in snake implants?"
Well, aside from not knowing really what to say and having the reaction I just did then, I'd probably tell him I'm not interested at all.
Now I'm going to hold. You see, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. It's
Sure.
It's not very good.
I'm not a real life demon either.
So this is a pretty unique individual. He's from Uruguay, and
He's unique, just like everyone
well,
else.
he already has $500 metal horns implanted into his skull. I mean,
That'd be handy if you're in a AC/DC tribute band.
yep. Other than that, I really can't think of another reason that you would do that.
I hope they light up.
Well, he says, "I enjoyed it from start to finish." Gushed Victor Hugo Peralta, age 53.
Victor Hugo Peralta. His first two names are Victor Hugo.
Victor Hugo.
As in, I think that's an author, if I'm not mistaken.
That I don't know. That's not my department.
Okay.
But Victor, a tattoo artist, began his body art pilgrimage at the ripe young age of 13 when he inked an ugly word across his fingers on his left hand. Fast forward until now, nearly 95% of his body is covered in tattoos like a walking Sistine Chapel. Some of his more controversial mods, which he frequently shares on Instagram, include the Devil's 666 carved into his scalp, stars, and then again the $500 metal horns. Now, so Jamie, I'm gonna hand you my phone here, and I want you to hold this up. Just hold this up here. I'm gonna change this to your camera.
I was correct, by the way. Victor Hugo is a French author. He was most famous probably for his book Les Miserables.
Okay, Victor Hugo.
Yes, and so I'll bet he was named for that person.
Okay, so it's hard to see because there's a little bit of a glare on it, but so snake implants. You're asking what is snake implants? I know you are. Well, I didn't know, but apparently,
And where can we get some?
well, that's a good question. Not in Brownsville. Call Alfred's Pharmacy, 597-1044. Alfred's Pharmacy.
You think they would have snake implants?
If anybody does, they would, but I doubt it. Anyway, so what they did is they surgically implanted, they cut this man's arm open, wrapped these implants where it looks like he has snakes wrapped around his skin, and then they sewed it back up on both arms.
I'm just trying to. You'd have to stretch the skin or something there, or either that or you'd have to shove the thing in and coil it around the arm structure in from one opening, and that'd be tough to do too. I don't even know how you would do that.
I don't either, man. But
It sounds complicated and painful.
well, he got a bargain, $6,500.
You can't beat that if you're
I
going to
mean-
have snake implants.
You know, last I checked on him, man, it's 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
You know, snakeimplants.com.
You might not want to try
Yeah, I
that.
might not want to say. Yeah, don't. Don't.
That might be something you don't want to see.
Yeah, don't go there. But anyway, this is a very, very unique individual here, and I'll just
You ever
say
seen
that.
snake implants, Alicia?
I have not. I don't even like to see a real snake anywhere. So I definitely don't want to see them implanted in someone's skin.
So enough about the snake implants. Moving on. Now, we talked about this. I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before, but this was also in crazy headlines. We talked about the Lowe's employee that was fired for trying to stop shoplifters.
Yes.
Okay? Well, she's been reinstated. The community has come to her aid,
Good.
and they demanded that she get her job back. And she did, and she had worked there for 13 years. She was punched in the face 3 times on June 25th after she grabbed one of the trio's shopping carts. Now, this is a news article from Fox News. Of course, there were 3 suspects taken into custody here, but she was initially fired for stopping those thieves that stole $2,000 worth of merchandise, and all she was trying to do was stop them. An employee, hey, stop! You got to pay for that. So not only did the thieves get away with it, well, initially, she was fired because she violated company policy. But
Where did this happen? Does it say?
this was in, yes, this was, well, it doesn't, Georgia, somewhere in Georgia.
Georgia.
Yes.
That's surprising.
And but anyway, she's reinstated. She's got her job back. So that's good news.
Good. Hope they gave her a little raise too.
Yeah.
A little extra break every once in a while.
So I'm not going to read this whole article, just or really go into it. But do you guys remember? I don't know if you remember this. LeBron James, who is not the greatest basketball player of all time. It's Michael Jordan, in case anybody's wondering. In case you don't know, it's Michael Jordan. There is no argument. Don't get me started on it. He's the greatest of all time. LeBron is number 3, second to Kobe. No argument there either.
I'm a Larry Bird guy myself, but you know.
Larry's in the top 5. Larry and Magic are the other 2. But anyway. LeBron James established a school called I Promise back in 2018. Now, this article here is from The Blaze. And the purpose of this was to educate at-risk students. However, fast forward to 2023, not one of the students has passed Ohio's state math test, according to reports.
Well,
Just goes to show you that when you're the 3rd best basketball player of all time, stick with basketball.
is he teaching the classes?
No,
Okay.
he's not, thankfully. But I just thought that was interesting. There was a lot of pomp and circumstance about when the school came in. Oh, this is going to change lives. Apparently it hasn't changed very many.
Well, oftentimes when you throw money at things like that, sometimes it doesn't help. It just ends up being a lot of wasted money.
Yeah. And, I don't really know much more about the school than that. But, hopefully these kids get whatever it is they're, hope they get it turned around. Hope
Right.
they do pass the
Right.
test. But so moving on, I saw several, well, we've all seen several headlines about the Barbie movie. Okay? Have you seen the Barbie movie?
I haven't. I want to, though.
So my wife and kids went and saw the Barbie movie. All right, and the conservatives and people on the right are saying, stay away from this. This is feminism. This is damaging to the patriarchy. It's freaking Barbie. Okay, it's a movie about a doll in La La Land. I wouldn't take it too seriously.
Correct.
Now, were you a Barbie girl when you were young?
Such a Barbie girl.
Had
yes.
all the stuff
I
and
think
the
that's a song
I
too.
did. I'm not going to sing it. You can if you want.
I don't know much of it.
Oh, rats.
Living in a Barbie world, Barbie girl, something like that.
So what was your? You had all the
I did. I mean, I didn't grow up very wealthy, but I did have several Barbies. I had like a little case to keep all the accessories in, and I had a Barbie Jeep, and I thought that was really cool.
One of the coolest things that I thought about a Barbie. I had some cousins that had Barbie. You could take a Bic lighter and just touch it to her hair, and it would just melt. It was fantastic. Did you? That's probably not the route that you went with your Barbies.
No, I did not. Of course, I would try sometimes to style it or, give it a nice trim, and then it never looked the same again.
You were just trying to apply too much heat, Darren, to the style.
Apparently. So anyway, people are losing their minds over this Barbie stuff. Chill out. It's just a dumb movie.
Yes.
I mean,
I've had a lot of conservative friends to go, and they said they don't see that. So,
well, first of all, what do you expect? I mean, what do you expect when you see a Barbie movie? It's girly, pinky. I don't know.
I think it's just supposed to be lighthearted. I mean, they said it's not, though. Not all of it's very lighthearted. I think there's some moments in it, but I think it's supposed to just, appeal to the women of my age.
Well,
and then,
sure.
of course, all women and kids that have Barbies, but,
I mean, I'm not going to go watch it. I don't care.
I think y'all should.
That's me.
We'll
I
talk
mean,
about it next week.
That would be a show.
I don't desire to go see the Barbie movie, but but in this day and time, the whole concern is that, well, everything is going to be woke or whatever, and
Right.
that's a big concern now. It's not just, well, we can't have just a cute movie for the sake of a movie, like we used to be able to. It's now, it's
Right. There's all these innuendos.
probably going to be something that you don't want to see, or probably going to be just,
Well, there's so much
whatever.
90s, going on right now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mario Brothers, Barbie. There's lots of 90s going on. So
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the 90s stuff is making a comeback.
exactly.
Like my 18-year-old daughter, well, and my 22-year-old too, both daughters. The clothes that they're wearing is the same stuff Debbie and I wore in high school.
Exactly. Some
You
of
know.
it should have not come back. That's just my opinion. But
So,
I'm waiting for the big hair to come back for women. That's what I'm.
man, I
waiting.
don't know.
I could rock that. I could.
I don't know if we're going to see that
Probably
anytime
won't.
soon because that took so much effort.
Oh, that
A lot
was
of Aquanet.
Man,
it was impressive. Now some of those things.
man, some of Debbie's photos, like from 90, 91.
Yeah.
Man, I'm talking big. Her sister graduated in 90.
Yeah.
Okay, my sister-in-law. And so she rocked it too, man. And they were serious about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully that stuff kind of calmed down because, there's a lot of money in hairspray.
Yeah.
And just
Hairspray's not cheap now, so it'd be bad.
We all appreciated the efforts, though. We thought it was
Absolutely.
grand.
Right. The big wings,
Yeah.
on the side.
I wanted my hair to look like DJ Tanner from Full House.
DJ
Yes.
Tanner.
Yep.
Mhm.
I had a crush on DJ.
I mean, she had great hair. I mean, she had the wings and
Yeah.
the nice little bangs.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now this next story here, this is messed up.
We got from the real life demon to DJ Tanner in about 10 minutes.
Well, you did bring
Well-
in a girl. Just say.
Plus, we were talking about Barbies in the pink, and you're sporting a Pink Floyd shirt
Yes, I am.
today. That's very impressive. You'll see me on the dark side of the moon. Pardon my terrible Floyd imitation. This is also from the New York Post. This is written by Ben Cost. There's a lot of crazy headlines that we read that can be attributed to, I think, mental illness. Mental illness.
There's definitely mental illness out there.
Man who spends $14,000 to be a collie dog bites back at online trolls. A Japanese man spent a fortune transforming himself into a dog.
I have read something
He had
about
a
this.
custom suit made for him.
Yes.
Where he is a collie. And he walks around on all fours in this costume.
It's an impressive looking suit,
It
too.
looks like a gigantic dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give him that. But he says it's just something he likes to do.
Everybody's gotta have a-
$14,000.
Yeah, everybody's got to have a hobby.
Of course, people are saying, "Well, you got some crazy fetish or something," and they're accusing him of pedophilia and some other things, and he's like, it doesn't have anything to do with that. I just love dogs, and I've always wanted to be one.
Well, okay.
That's the only thing you can say. Well, okay.
I mean, if-
$14,000, man.
Well, hey, whatever a guy's got to do. I mean, if he's, as long as he's not hurting himself or posing a threat to himself or others, and as long as he can hold a job to keep the money coming in to pay for his collie suits, then I don't care if he dresses up like a collie on his own time and walks around in the house and has a fire plug of his own. I don't care. Let him do his thing.
So it says the aspiring herding dog can be seen parading around busy streets, performing tricks, and even interacting with other dogs as astonished onlookers ooh and ah.
I bet the dogs are astonished too.
No, I mean,
after a little bit.
Can you imagine what would happen if I came in here, if there was a dog costume big enough to fit me? Do you imagine what Sparky would do? He would go into outer space. That suit would be...
Well, yeah. Well, it would just be... I don't know. I mean, he must be around some shell-shocked dogs or city dogs or something. Some that dogs are used to seeing just whatever. And they're just like, meh.
It's just sorry,
else.
man. I mean, I'm like you. If that's what the guy wants to do, whatever. But I mean,
and if he goes out and becomes a public spectacle and stops traffic and dogs and other things,
right.
if he interacts
starts hiking his leg,
yes,
and peeing on stuff,
he
No.
needs. Yeah, we need to get control of that a little bit.
We're
but-
not doing that.
Yeah.
Are you a dog person, by the way?
I am.
You have a dog?
I do. I have 2 dogs.
Let's
I
go.
have a German Shepherd named Duke,
Okay.
and I have a Chorky, which is a Chihuahua Yorkie mix named Archie.
Is Archie an inside dog?
Yes, and he's a brat, but I love him.
Now the one dog is named Duke because they are Duke fans in
I
that
wondered
household.
if that would come up today.
So
Really?
just be aware of that before you
I
say
know,
anything. that's-
Great. I will not have any friends now. That's nice.
Okay, well
Thanks,
we're gonna
guys.
change.
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
subject.
move
Thank
along
you.
from
We're
that.
gonna move
Please.
along. Okay, I got one more headline.
She also had an interesting scooter wreck once that we might want to hear about sometime
Okay,
down the road.
well that's interesting. We'll make a note of that. This is one of the most terrifying things that I've read in a number of years. In fact, I shared this with the rest of my family, and they gasped heartily when I read them part of the story.
Wow.
This is also from the New York Post. The headline says, I thought I was going to die. Spider bit inside my throat while I was asleep.
This is where nightmares come from. I just don't know why we had to talk about this.
This is crazy. Have you ever thought... So, all right,
Obviously, they sleep with their mouth open.
I guess.
Well, I do too. So this is scary.
Well, you just never know.
This is in the UK. A postman realized every arachnophobe's worst nightmare after a spider bit the inside of his throat while he was asleep, which caused it to swell up so badly he couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die, Chris Cowsley, age 52, told SWNS of receiving this interspecies French kiss of death, which occurred around 3:30 a.m. on Sunday.
Now, that's some journalism right there.
And so it goes on to say that, he woke up in the middle of the night, he couldn't breathe. His airway was completely stopped because a spider
Yes.
bit him in the throat while he's asleep.
Inside the
He
throat.
said he had to stick his finger down his throat to get some air. He had to keep a finger. Of course, I gag when I brush my teeth. So
yeah.
I probably would have choked. But paramedics arrived shortly after he called emergency services, inspected the victim's throat, whereupon they dropped a shocking diagnosis. He had reportedly inhaled a spider in his sleep, which then bit his uvula, the gollywhopper there in the back of your throat,
The flap.
and on the way down his gullet. They hooked me up to machines, and the first thing he said was, I think you've swallowed a spider, the letter courier recalled. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. So they treated him, and, they got him to a ear, nose, and throat specialist, and they ended up, giving him anti-inflammatory medicine and all this, and he made a recovery. He was fine. But
I don't think you make a recovery from
you know,
that. I don't.
Not mentally.
so
Nope.
I mean, have you ever seen a brown recluse in your house?
Yes.
Well, not so much in the house, but I've seen them in the shop. I mean,
So
they're all over the place.
we've had them in our house before,
Yeah.
Same.
and you talk about a creepy, uneasy feeling. Those guys right there, you just roll over on them, you don't see them, and they'll bite you, and then your skin rots off.
Yeah, your arm falls off.
Yeah, perfectly normal.
Over a period of 6 months.
Yeah, and it's kind of like rabies, man.
It almost won't heal.
Crazy.
From what I understand, we would all be shocked and amazed at the stuff that we have swallowed or inhaled while we sleep.
Yeah, you're right.
Because if we actually knew that we've all probably ingested insects of various and sundry types while we've been sleeping.
I'm really glad this was not recorded last night because I'm certain I wouldn't have slept.
So
We got a lot to think about before tonight.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
extremely messed up, man. It's messed up. So, like I said, the guy made
Nobody-
a recovery.
Nobody wants to inhale a spider.
No, I don't want anything to do with spiders.
No, I don't care about them.
I cleaned out my garage a couple of weeks ago and put in some new shelving and stuff like that. And while we were cleaning out the garage, I killed 3 brown recluse in my garage.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we've got the pest control, en route because
I really need to schedule them to look at
Same.
my shop
So-
too.
I think we all will be doing that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
But I'd almost tolerate them more than stinging creatures like wasps and hornets.
speaking of which, okay, yesterday I'm taking my trash can, I'm bringing my trash can back up to the edge of the house where the garbage folks picked it up, and I noticed that on the side of my house where my electric meter is and all of the services go into the house where my panel box is, on the outside of my house, there's also a small box there where my cable and the internet comes into the house, in this little plastic panel. And I noticed the door shuts, and then there's a bolt on the other side, and the door slips over the bolt.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that there was nothing holding. It wasn't secured. It wasn't fastened completely. It was just resting on there, like a nut had come off of it. So I thought, man, I need to make sure that's sealed up. And so I wanted to see how easy it was to open. And when I did, there was a black wasp nest about the size of my fist in there with all of those dudes on it. And for a 47-year-old man, you talk about laying.
You move fast.
Laying down the sprint, man, because
Those things are the devil.
Terrible.
I don't even know why. I'm sure someone can tell me why those things exist, but I can see no reason for them
agree.
at all. Any of those stinging red wasp, black, or whatever they are, yellow jackets, any of that stuff that just will zip to you and are angered when you get near them and then sting you.
It's messed up, man. So I was able to take a long pole. I had our swimming pool net, and I just shut the door back and ran off again. And I'm just going to leave it there. I feel sorry for the serviceman if he has to come.
Well,
You know.
what you do there is you leave that door open and let them all settle again. Then you get that big, tall can of wasp and hornet killer.
Yeah, well,
And stand 10 feet away and just put the foam all over where you can't see anything move anymore. There's no more satisfying feeling.
yeah, and you say, "Take that, you
Yes,
stinky dudes."
You won't sting anyone.
So, all right, we're going to move on to the topic of today's discussion. And I don't know if you guys have seen anything in the news about our old lawmakers, our senators, our congressmen, congresswomen. Did you know that the average age of the U.S. Congress, of the U.S. Senate, the average age of the U.S. Senate is 65?
Well, they obviously take good care of themselves.
Well, and
Or we do.
So-
We take good care of them or something.
So, the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, I don't know if you guys saw this. He holds a press conference.
Had a little episode the other day where he
So-
couldn't speak.
The dude is 81 years old, okay? He steps up to the podium, he's kind of mumbling around. Nobody can understand what he's saying, and all of a sudden, the dude glitches. He just freezes. He has some sort of medical episode. Appeared to be a seizure. I didn't read anywhere where they actually said what happened to him, but there was I think it said 23 seconds.
There's
of just
conspiracy theories too going around on the internet where somebody's touching his hand with
somebody
something.
turn the switch on. And
Yeah,
off.
something's going on over the sides, and everybody's looking at giving them the side eye and grinning, that kind of thing. There's some of that going on the internet too.
Well, of course, there's a conspiracy theory about
Yes.
about everything, but the issue is, and this is a real issue. The average age of the Senate is 65 years old. Now, it's a little younger in the House. The average age is 57. Okay? Now, let me start by saying, obviously, there's just as much value in an 81-year-old as there is a 1-year-old. Okay?
Yes.
I don't mean that. But if you think about, on a daily basis, the people with which you interact, okay, whether it be at your job, whether it be through your local government, your local store owners, your local store, your local bank, your local pharmacy, blah, 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 blah. The people that are in charge of those things, okay? Let's start, there's kind of a list that I always have. It's a go-to list for news purposes. When if it's been a slow news week, I reach out to sources here in our community. Well, who are those sources? Well, educators, the school system, your county government, law enforcement, okay? So those people are obviously staples of your local communities everywhere you go. Not just Edmonson County, but certainly Edmonson County, Brownsville. Think of the people that make decisions on a day-to-day basis that affect you in many different ways, affect your well-being, affect your future, okay? We'll start at the school system, all right? Our superintendent, okay? He's in his mid-50s, all right? You guys are about the same age.
Yep.
Okay? Perfectly capable of, making good decisions. That's kind of like prime time for, there's kind of like a large age range for, prime time decision making, all right? Mid-50s. Our judge executive, mid-50s, okay? You go to your local business owners, okay? Guy right down here runs the store, one of the busiest stores in the county. He's like 30. He's in his 30s, okay? The point is, the people that make the decisions that affect us locally on a daily basis, most of those people are not 70 years old. They're not 65 years old, okay? So the question that's been going around is, well, first, I'm 100% for term limits in our government. Congress, Senate, there should be term limits. Mitch McConnell's been doing this for 40 years. You take our president, Joe Biden, 81 years old. Whether you're a Joe Biden fan or not, I don't think that the majority of people would agree that he's 100% on his cognitive skills, cognitive abilities. Take Donald Trump, 77 years old. Out of Biden or, if Donald Trump becomes the nominee, the youngest guy that you've got out of those two, 77 years old.
Right.
If Joe Biden wins the presidency, he's going to finish his term at 85. Do we want 85-year-old people running the country?
I don't know. You get to a point where most people feel like it's time to retire at a point or at least get out of the business they've been in for a while and do something else.
Right.
But, there comes an age at which, Medicare kicks in at a certain age. Social Security benefits kick in at a certain age. And there's generally a reason for that. A lot of people retire around those years. So it's not typical in the working world to see people that age still out doing those things.
Well, here's something also that I think is important to note. Did you know that the salary, the base salary for a congressman, a U.S. congressman or a U.S. senator is $174,000 a year? Pretty good paycheck.
Pretty good money, yeah.
Okay. If you serve 5 years in that term, then you are eligible for retirement. And there's a couple of different ways that works. Once you reach the age of 62, you can draw up to 80% of that salary for the rest of your life. So let's hypothetically say you're a 57-year-old first-time senator or congressman, and you serve a term. Of course, in the Senate, terms are 6 years. So let's use a senator. You don't even have to finish your first term. You can serve 5 years. When you get age 62, you can resign. I'm going to step down. I'm going to retire. At age 62, and draw $139,200 for the rest of your life.
Pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal. Now, so you're making good money doing this, but I think what we're seeing is, and whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think everybody can agree that the people that have been in there for 40 years, man, all these people are doing is telling me how bad the other guy is, how bad the other side is.
Well, first of all, you know, who wants to be there for that long anyway? I mean, there has to be some sort of benefit to it.
Well, of
if you're going to
course.
hang around.
Right.
There's something besides what the obvious is.
Sure.
At least that's what I think.
Well, of course. I think everybody would agree with that, you know.
Because nobody would stay there that long, because everybody wants to go home and go fishing or doing something else, you
Well,
know.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you want to stay that long? There's something else keeping you around.
Unless you're just in love with that kind of life so much,
Well-
you've become entrenched in the
Well, here's the
rubbing
other,
elbows.
Here's the other thing too. Okay, so you're making $174,000 a year. You've also got an entire office staff. You've got over a $3 million budget to pay all those people to do your bidding. That's a lot of power. Just that. Forget about what you're actually doing.
right.
Being a legislator.
I mean, that's a lot of help just doing what you do on a daily basis. I know they're busy, and I know they've got a lot of things their constituents are always contacting the office and that kind of thing. But
Dianne Feinstein. Okay, senator from
California, right?
Now, she's served 30-something years. She's 90 years old. 90 years old. This was in the news this week. She was at I think it was a hearing of some sort, and it came time for her to cast a vote, and she didn't even know where she was. Somebody beside her had to lean in and say, "Hey, you're supposed to say aye." And she said aye.
And I think she's been confused in recent times too
She's-
about where she's been for a vote
Well,
or what.
she's also recently relinquished power of attorney to her daughter to handle her affairs, but yet she still has all of the authority and power that she's ever had in our U.S. Senate. 90 years old.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
So like I said,
Californians ought to be happy about
oh,
that.
I'm sure they're just thrilled. 48% of Congress, 48% are baby boomers, age 60 or above. So nearly half. And then you've got people that are over the age of 70. You've got multiple people that are over the age of 80. And then you got, I think, Senator Grassley. I forgot what state he
Chuck
represents.
Grassley.
Chuck Grassley. He's
He's
like
not-
87 or 88.
He's not Iowa, is he? Somewhere.
Maybe. But, of course, I just mentioned Senator Feinstein, 90 years old.
At least you think you could be a congressperson and
Man, okay.
and operate at that age successfully.
Not at all.
I mean, if you had a big enough staff, maybe, and they knew all what to do with everything.
I like the idea of retiring one day.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's the
and
thing.
chilling, you know?
Why would you not just want to go to the house, spend time with your grandkids?
I know.
Yeah.
It makes me sad sometimes to think about you said 90,
90.
91, and just know that that's how she ends her life,
Right.
instead of just chilling and enjoying her family and enjoying, traveling the country.
I think it goes-
something.
I think it goes back to what you said, though, Jamie. There's a reason that they're sticking around for
Yeah,
all these years.
there has to
and
be.
it's not just a salary because, like I said, you could serve 5 years, retire at age 62. You can also retire at age 50 if you've served 20 years in that capacity or similar.
Right.
Okay. 80% of that, 139 G's.
Sort of like being in the military. You can
Yeah.
retire after, 20 years or so?
Yeah, something like that.
I know some younger guys who got in at an early age and retired.
Right.
And they're
And
out doing something else,
you go
making
do-
their
y-
retirement.
Yeah, you go do something else. You
Yeah.
can go get another job
which
if you
is
want.
pretty cool.
You know, you make 2 incomes or 3 incomes if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Or if you want to sit at the house and watch Netflix and go play golf on the weekends and, fly around in airplanes.
At 40 or 45 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To me, that's what the American dream
That's
is,
pretty
baby.
good, yeah.
Exactly.
I would like to retire at some point, and I don't want to be 90 years old still working,
No.
Don't get me wrong, I'd like to live as long as I can.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't hurt my feelings if I could retire here in about 10 years or less.
Yep.
Shoot, man, if I could retire today, I'd be doing something different.
But there's so many perks associated with a congressional seat, and there's so many things that we don't know about. The things that come along with that, the special interest groups, the fundraisers, the things that the favors people do for you for whatever they expect back from that. And that stuff goes on. I mean, obviously,
Of course.
and that's why you have a lot of that going on. People don't want to leave, and who knows what their situation's like at home. I mean, they've been public figures all their lives. What kind of family life have they had?
That's true.
True.
So-
and it is also, I want to say, it is unfair for me to assume that, their way of looking at things is exactly like the way
Right.
I would look at things. Their situation is obviously, different, and they, a whole different set of circumstances, and who knows,
And
but-
more power to them if that's what they enjoy doing. But I just for the benefit, for the common good of the country, it's best to let go of those seats before you get to the point that you can't serve in a capacity where you actually know what you're doing.
Exactly.
You have your full faculties.
And I want to say this too. There are, there's some folks around our town that are still active in organizations, businesses, whatever. They're older than 65. They're older than 70. There's 80-year-old people and even more. I don't mean that those people are incapable
Sure.
of doing things. Not at all.
But they're going to know when it comes
Yes.
time to
At some point,
to leave
you
it
have
alone.
You have to cut back.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to start cutting back, and then you're going to hand those reins over to somebody else.
And if you don't realize it, I mean, if you're contracting dementia or Alzheimer's, heaven forbid, somebody would help you realize that and maybe transition you to something else that would be easier on you.
Yeah.
But,
So anyway, my take is I think there should be an age limit in Congress and Senate. Once you get 70 years old, I think it ought to be an automatic retirement. I think you should only be able to serve until you're 70. And that's my take. That's my opinion.
that along with term limits would hinder those special interest groups and the people that are funding whatever they're funding. That would limit their power a little bit too, because then
Yeah.
you'd have to make relationships with new people
Exactly.
if you could. So
All right. So that's enough on that.
I'm sure it's all above board and straight laced.
Well,
everything
it's
is great.
no
there, though.
doubt about it, and they're all God's children, and everybody's going to hold hands and sing a song at the end of the
Yes.
day. So,
That's what we do here.
let's do what National Whatever Day is.
Let's do it.
For Friday, August the 4th, it is National what? Let's hear it.
One of the best ones here is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
Bring it on, baby. That's today.
Yes, that is today.
Boom.
We should have bought a package of Chips Ahoy.
Oh, man.
What's your favorite chocolate chip cookie? That's I mean,
Chips
I can't.
Ahoy, I mean, if
I
you
can't
have
beat
a
that.
glass of milk,
Yeah.
that's golden.
I don't care if I have a glass of milk. I'll eat Chips Ahoy.
I'll eat Chips Ahoy. I'll eat cookie dough.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
buy the tub, the big tub
Yes.
like they got at Sam's or something.
Right.
Better than ice cream though.
Just go down here to CB and just get you a roll of it, cut the end of it off, and just squeeze it, eat it like a popsicle.
Yeah,
So
that sounds good to me.
I'm going to CB when this show wraps up. I'm going to see if they got
Buy you some chocolate chip cookies there.
what else we got.
It's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. International Clouded Leopard Day is today. That is a species that's indigenous to Central and Southeast Asia. They're shy leopards, and there's not many of them.
Okay.
So I think they're probably an endangered species, but it is International Clouded Leopard Day. It's National Coast Guard Day,
Okay.
so shout out to that branch of the military service. We appreciate all the Coast Guard
Right on.
and everybody that helps keep us safe here in this country from day to day. Things
Hear,
that we
hear.
don't know about
Right on, man.
are going on right now to keep us safe that we have we better be mighty thankful that's going on.
Totally agree.
It is National Water Balloon Day.
Okay.
Don't have any of those with me, but, be
Have
aware.
y'all seen the new like reusable water balloons?
Those are, yeah, I saw
They're
that on TV.
legit.
I don't know
Really?
if I've seen those.
Yeah, we bought some for our park day story time at the park.
What are they? How do you reuse them?
Well, they're silicone and they have like magnetic, so they go right back together. So
Oh.
you just take them, fill them up, they go right back
Yeah,
together.
like
throw 'em.
you dip them down
Yeah.
in a bucket and then shut them and then.
Huh.
and
None
about
of that. Taking it to the water, faucet like we had to back in the day.
How
I mean,
come we can't come up with ideas like that?
I
They
don't
just,
know, man.
That's a
No.
license to make money.
Because we're doing a second-rate show here in the middle of the day. That's
Yeah.
why. So.
And last but not least, but it is International Beer Day, first Friday in August, along
Okay.
with Water Balloon Day, first Friday in August. So, if you have a hankering for International Pilsner, you can maybe fulfill that somewhere.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's go on to one of my favorite portions of the show, and I'm not even going to set this up, Jamie. I'm just going to let you do your thing. Well, we obviously know that it's time for dramatic lyric reading. We know that.
This is going to be in a format that's a little bit different than we usually do it, because this is done in the form of a Shakespearean sonnet.
So this is a popular song.
This is a once popular song
yes.
that is geared in the style or has been transformed to the style of a sonnet.
All right. Jamie Carnes with today's dramatic lyric
See
reading.
if you can figure out what this is.
Take it away, Jamie.
A gentle friend whom I have long adored hath been a steadfast comrade at my side. And yet, of late, I sense that our accord is weakened by my deeply wounded pride. The cause is far too easy to detect. He hath a courtship with a lass begun, and though our bond fraternal I respect, I wish that I instead her heart had won. How fortunate to gaze into her eyes, and how divine her soft embrace must be. Imagining his arms about his prize doth fill my heart with pain and jealousy. For Jessie's winsome girl I long have pined. Pray, tell me where I'll such a woman find.
Ladies and gentlemen, dramatic lyric reading with Jamie Carnes. And I'm going to, it took me a minute
Same.
because, well, I really didn't know what was going on until the very end there.
Same.
Jesse's girl.
Yes,
Right.
So Rick Springfield,
that was well done, by the way. I don't know who authored that,
Well,
but that
as
was
an-
well done.
as an English major yourself,
And
history buff.
yes, it's I mean it has the 14 lines. It's an iambic pentameter. It's pretty tight.
Well, if you don't have iambic pentameter, don't even show up and talk to me.
How about that, boys and girls? But anyway, I mean it's
Richard Springfield.
yes, Sir Richard Springfield.
Richard Springfield.
But now I got this from Richard's own Twitter account or X account. Now he retweeted this or sent this out. Said he found it somewhere, and so apparently he approves.
Well, that's awesome.
So there
Sir
you
Richard.
go.
Great job, Sir Richard, and great job, James. We appreciate that. James Oscar Jr.
Glad to bring it to light so everybody could hear that.
That's good stuff right there, man. Hey, there's a couple of things going on. We're just about out of time. There's a football scrimmage tonight over at the high school. Meet the Wildcats. They're going to have all kinds of stuff going on. Check that out. The first football game is coming up August the 18th. That's at home against Grayson County. And
It's not long.
your Edmonson Voice Wildcats live crew will be there. That is Judge Executive Scott Lindsay will be.
The high judge.
That's right, man. But he's not too high to run the microphone over
That's
here
right.
for the Edmonson Voice, calling the football games, along with his sidekick, Granville Merida.
Granville.
And so those guys will be back in action. First day of school. I don't know. I'm trying to get excited about it, but I just get depressed. It's Monday, August 21st. And you know.
I know. I mean, that's the way.
Uh,
You get there, and then you're like, when's Labor Day?
yeah.
You know?
And then after that, it's like, when's fall break? And then after that, it's when's Thanksgiving break? And blah, 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 blah. and
Exactly.
You make it to May. But, hey, ECHS volleyball, they got a new coach, by the way, Christine Barrett. Been really impressed with Coach Barrett. Alyssa, my daughter, who graduated last year, she played under her. Coach Barrett was an assistant. And Alyssa really thought a lot of her. And so I'm looking for good things for her and the team. Their first home game is the 22nd there at ECHS. So
Alicia's a former coach. I don't know if you had anything to do with volleyball ever, right?
No.
Soccer was your thing.
Soccer. I still help. I call me an emotional support, not really a coach.
hey, well, you
It's more
got to
just
have that
someone
stuff
like
too.
they're there, you know.
Of course, you got Ashley Ritter over there.
Amazing.
She's awesome.
It started with me, and they asked me to coach. I mean, my son played soccer. I love soccer. I'm so glad it's in our county. But I didn't grow up playing soccer, you know, so I didn't know a whole lot about it. And Ashley reached out to me and was like, hey, I played soccer my whole life. I was like, well, come on out.
There you go.
And that's how it happened, and so thankful because
Nice.
she has developed a really great soccer team already, second year, and so I just go
And she's super fun to be around
she
too.
really
Very
is.
positive
She's the
and
best. She really is.
you know. So, well, that's going to wrap up the show pretty much today. And you know, we'd heard people had sent comments and sent some emails, and they talked and they said, you know, you guys are great. We like the show, but we'd like to have a woman's perspective on some of this. So I thought, well, who would be somebody good? Well, Alicia calls me and she says, you've got to have me on your show. I can't do anything without being on the
Just don't
Friday
talk
show.
so much next time.
Actually, yes.
I was
Please
like,
tell them what I really did.
Okay, you know.
I laughed for about a minute and then was like, are you really seriously asking me to do this?
No.
Because they do not realize that the first time that I did a live, I forgot, like, we were talking about Cram the Cruiser, and I literally couldn't remember my name. I didn't know what was going on. So when you asked, I was like, wow, he
Well,
must have.
It's like that scene from
forgot.
Ricky Bobby with not Ricky Bobby, but
yeah.
the Talladega Nights.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Seriously.
Car,
That's me.
car felt right there.
So, yeah.
Well, by the way, thank you for being on the
Thank
show.
you. It was so fun.
We
It
appreciate
was
that.
really fun.
And you know, we're going to have probably once a month. Maybe we're going to try to do something. We'll invite a lady over to just sit in with us and I don't know, chime in and see what kind of probably help get us back on track. You know,
Right.
from our stuff.
And we might
But,
have some interesting male guests too every once in a while. You know, there's
yeah,
no
right.
there's no moratorium
Sure,
on guests here.
sure. But anyway, thank you, Alicia.
Thank you. It really was
We
fun.
appreciate that.
Glad to
Love
have
it.
you.
She's the director of the public library. Check that out, ecplibrary.com. And you guys are now running some ads on The Voice, too. You got a lot of content on The Voice. So check that out if you're a regular follower of The Voice, and hopefully those of you watching this program, you are. Check out the public library content on the Edmonson Voice. You can find Jamie on Twitter, J. Oscar Jr. Well, of course, that's X now.
X.
On X. Okay, you can tweet at us or X at us. Well, I probably shouldn't say that. That doesn't sound very nice. At Edmonson Voice.
It's a valid question.
It is. So, I mean, how do you...
Are you Xing instead of tweeting?
Right. I saw an X the other day. Ooh, really? Where did you run into her at?
You feel like you're on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Electric Company.
Hey, anyway, call the office, 270-597-6550. We're on Facebook, X, YouTube, and all that other stuff, Instagram, and yada, yada, yada. And EdmonsonVoice.com. Still, Edmonson County's #1 source for local news and info.
Yeah.
For Alicia, for Jamie. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.